This episode is brought to you by Flex Dealer.
People don't buy products because they understand the product. They buy because they feel that you understand them as a person.
Hey there, welcome to this episode of the Dealer Playbook Podcast. Sitting down with my pal, Dave Perriton. He's the Regional Vice President at RoadVantage. We're going to talk about how to level up your F&I department. Stay tuned. Dave, thanks so much for joining me on the Dealer Playbook Podcast.
It's my pleasure, MC. I'm glad to be here.
So we talked pre-show. You grew up in Wyoming, but now you're a fellow Texan. I grew up in British Columbia and then Alberta, and now I'm a fellow Texan. And I joke that Texas is extremely southern Alberta. Cowboys, cattle, oil, like barbecue. The only two places
Wyoming
that have
too.
Really? Are there, like, do people put beef bumper stickers on their cars in Wyoming?
Oh yeah. There's all sorts of steer out there. That Cowboys are very ingrained there in Wyoming. So but yeah, you were probably like me. I didn't want to be in the snow anymore. That's mostly why I moved to Texas. I mean, snow is fun to look at, but when you got to shovel it, nah, I'm good.
I grew up in what is actually, this is real, the only desert in Canada is in the southern interior of British Columbia. Now it gets all four seasons, but you know how they come up with how it becomes a desert or whatever. But it actually called Napa North. People nicknamed it that because it's wineries, vineyards, lakes, orchards. It sounds beautiful. And then somewhere around September, the clouds roll into the valley and then they don't leave until like May. And so winter for me, and then, you know, of course, Alberta, there's one season in Alberta and it's winter for like 9 months of the year. And same thing. I was like, I'm out.
Great skiing though, but no, I'm good.
You told me something pre-show though, that I think is interesting. Your mom is from Hawaii.
Yes.
And your dad's from New Zealand. So
I grew up in
Cheyenne. Is Wyoming?
Yeah, I grew up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, of all places. My mom, she's from Hawaii. She's from Hawaii. My dad's from New Zealand. He ended up taking a boat from New Zealand when he was 17 up to Hawaii to work. And then when they were married, they had my two older brothers. Hawaii, great place to live, but not a lot of opportunity there. And it's expensive. Right. So they decided, hey, let's go to the mainland. And they had... And my uncle actually lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, was teaching. He taught auto body actually at the local high school. So my dad's like, hey, let's go to Cheyenne, Wyoming and build a life. So that's what they did. And that's where I came from, is this Hawaiian kid in Wyoming.
Were there ever moments where your dad was like, or your parents were like, where's the water?
Oh, all the time. See, it's funny because my mother she is just so Hawaiian. She now is very, very much ingrained in Wyoming. She loves the snow, loves the cold. They're never, ever going to leave there. But me having that ingrained in me, I wanted to get back to the beach. I needed to get back to warmer weather. So that's why I don't live there.
I'm with you, man. Like, I wake up every day and this is like, this is like, when is enough for me? Because I think there is no better feeling than walking out of a store at night and it's warm still. Because in Canada, it was like before you left the store, you were bundling up, you were putting on the hat, you were putting on gloves, you were making sure there was no way for air to get into your outfit because it was going to be minus 20 when you walked out those doors. And here it still catches me off guard. Like, I'll walk out of a movie and I'm like, here we go. And then I walk out and I'm like, oh, this is delightful.
Yeah, and it's still warm out. See, and then also in the north, like those Saturday morning lot parties when it snowed the night before and everybody's got to go out and shovel and get the cars ready. That's why I'm in Texas.
So, I mean, it sounds like a car connection through your uncle. How did you get into the car business?
Yeah, so my family's been in the car business since before I was born. Like I said, my uncle was in it. My other uncle, he was a big executive with General Motors. So my family's been car people all the way through. I actually started when I was a teenager, 14, 15 years old, as a lot porter. Going around washing the cars and helping detail, but I never wanted to be in the car business for myself. So my dad was he started as a paint and body. He'd doing paint and body, then mechanic, and having 6 kids, he figured, okay, that's not going to pay the bills. So he went into sales, into finance, and ended up becoming a general manager of some stores there in Wyoming. And that's what I did. I started working for him, but I didn't want to sell cars. I wanted to go to college. So I ran track, played sports in school. So I ended up going to college to run track, run the decathlon, and do finance. After school, I was building a business to do securities and investments, helping people with their IRAs, their 401ks, teachers with their 403bs, moving them. And my dad's like, well, why don't you go, while you're building that business, why don't you go sell cars? I said, no, heck no, I don't want to go sell cars. He said, well, why not? Well, for me, it was, I'm sure there's a lot of dealerships out there where you walk into them, or when you're walking at them, you feel like you have to take a shower when you leave. I didn't want to have to do that. I didn't want to. There was just some sleazy reputation in the car business, and my dad said, okay, well, here's the thing. Here's some questions that you want to ask some managers. Here's the answers you want to get. If you don't get these answers, you don't want to work for them. So that's what I did. Is I went out and I interviewed with a bunch of different dealerships, and there was one manager that answered all the questions right, and that's where I went to work, and I ended up doing that in Austin, Texas for a long time, selling cars into finance, managing the store, and had a company that actually wanted me to come and teach for them, come train for them to teach F&I schools. So that's what I did. I went with the academy and taught F&I schools for the last few years, and now I'm with RoadVantage. So yeah, the car business has always been in my blood, and what I love about it is so when my dad first told me about it, he's like, yeah, the car business is great. You can work half days and make six figures. And me, I'm thinking half day, great. Come to find out, half days, he meant half the day, as in 12 hours. You work 12 hours, you can make six figures. And
yeah.
And that's the thing with this business, is it's the easiest, lowest paying job there is, but also the highest, hardest paying job there is. I mean,
right.
You get what you want out of it. And
right.
And for me, when I was first starting the car business, I wanted to learn everything I could about selling. So I got all the books that I could read about selling and closing the sale. And my dad said, you know what, Dave? He said, those books are great. He said, but really throw them all away. He said, if you want to get really good at this business or any business, he said, get books on people, get books on psychology. Because like How to Win Friends and Influence People. I saw you had on your podcast a guy named Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. So those type of things, when you understand people and what motivates them, your job becomes a lot easier, because then you can take the products that you have and really tailor them to that customer.
This is okay. Now we're getting into waters here. We're getting into it, because what you're talking about, I think, is the single most important thing anybody who wants to grow in their career needs to be paying attention to. It's not the word tracks. It's not the negotiation tips. It's not the tool and the software and the this and the that. We, on one hand, all agree this is a people business. And then the majority of us are like, so what could ChatGPT do to make my job? People. It's people. It's people, people.
Exactly.
You got to learn people. What did that do for you as you started really studying? Like, what was the process of not just retaining the information, but actually taking action upon it? Because I think that's the piece most people miss, is the action piece. What did that look like for you?
All right, so for me, when I first started in the car business, like I said, I wanted to learn my products. I wanted to learn all the products and everything I could understand about the product. And I figured that was going to be what would sell the car, or what would sell the product to the customer. What I found is that people don't understand. People don't buy products because they understand the product. They buy because they feel that you understand them as a person. If you understand them as a person, then your job gets a lot easier. So for me, when I would take my product knowledge, so when it comes to business managers, finance managers in the finance office, we need to know our products. We need to know our products in and out. The thing is where so many business managers have a problem is we start to throw up all that information to that customer. We start to throw and think all these great things about these products that are beneficial to us, but to the customer that they may not have, that may not be any value to them. So having product knowledge is great, but knowing when to use the product knowledge is even better. So when to use it. I use that product knowledge a lot of times to overcome the objections. So for me, when I was first learning, I got all my product knowledge out of the way. Then I tried to figure out, okay, with these people, how is it that I can get what they like and take that product and tailor it to how they're going to be using that vehicle, how they're going to be using the contracts in the business office. Because tailoring it that way, it makes it easier for us to justify the products to them based on what they told us, if we know what motivates them.
Hey, does your marketing agency suck? Listen, before we hop back into this episode, I know you know me as the host of the Dealer Playbook, but did you also know that I'm the CEO of Flex Dealer, an agency that's helping dealers capture better quality leads from local SEO and hyper-targeted ads that convert? So if you want to sell more cars and finally have a partner that's in it with you that doesn't suck, visit flexdealer.com. Let's hop back into this episode. What I love about this is if you can learn people, what motivates them, the spill-off effect is a better experience. They're going to come back and buy from you again because they're going to remember that. They're, what is it? What's that saying? People don't remember what you say; they remember how you made them feel. Exactly. And to make that connector, I wrote down a couple of things. Like I wrote down product knowledge, and I wrote down leads, and I wrote down advertising and marketing. And the reason I wrote those down as I was listening to you speak is, to your point, like we make the wrong thing the thing. Right. Is product knowledge important? Yes. Is it the thing? Is it the differentiator? No. Are leads important? Lead capture and lead generation important? Yes, but it's not actually the thing. Is ads and all these items that we make the thing is actually the wrong focus. It's to what you're talking about. It's the people. I want to tie this into the finance department and the training that you're doing in F&I and helping dealers grow in that area. I mean, when I think about my own car buying journey, even with somebody that has great credit and, I've been blessed and I'm a lay down. People have heard me say this before. I'm very much like,
you're that A customer.
That one, please. Yeah, I am.
Sure.
Despite all of that, and I bring that up not to boast or brag or to be like, whoa, great, Cirillo thinks so high of himself. No, really the underscore for me there is, even in that context, the thing that always breaks the car buying process for me is once things get passed over to F&I. Because that's when all the communication breaks down for me. Sure. And if I feel that way as somebody that knows they can lay down, can point to the car and say, I want that one, has great credit, good finances to support it. Imagine how somebody with questions about their credit or, are on a tighter budget or whatever. Imagine how they must feel, how that breakdown in communication must feel to them. Why? Well, everything up to the finance process is exciting. I test drove the vehicle. I picture myself in it. Exactly. We're talking about possibilities and options. I signed the sheet that said I agree to that payment term or whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's all exciting. And then it disappears and it goes to some finance office where I don't get to meet the guy. I don't know what they're doing in that office. I don't know what they're looking at. And 9 times out of 10, they come back to me with my least favorite word in the English language, which is unfortunately. And from
you
there,
remove that from your vocabulary.
Yeah. And I'm like, from there, it's like, okay, I guess I have to burn this building down.
Right.
Do you think that, am I tracking here from your observation?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's the thing with the car buying process. We know how it goes. The customer, when you're sitting there buying a car, we know that the customer, before they set foot in the dealership, they've done a ton of research, anywhere from 12 to 24 hours worth of research. So when they're coming to the dealership, they already have a good idea of what they want to buy. Not only what they want, they know stock numbers. They know, hey, I don't want an F-150. I want stock number D214817. Oh,
Right.
okay. You want the F-150? No, I want the F-150. That's the black one that has all these different features on it. So your customers know all that information. As salespeople, so for those new business managers that are just coming from sales into the finance office, you tell them all the time is, when we're selling the car, when we're showing those features and benefits of the car, we have a lot of time to be able to talk to the customer. We have 3 hours, 3 days, 3 months. We have a long time to be able to build that rapport with them. And just like you said, as you're going through, you're getting that emotion and seeing, touch, and feel and doing that test drive and signing the paper, then you get turned over to finance. Here's the thing. With those salespeople going into that finance office, when they understand that, hey, in the finance office, I don't have all the time in the world like I did in sales. I need to get this customer in and out as quickly as possible. And so when you understand that coming into the finance office, if we can make that experience quick and easy and just let them know, hey, I'm here to make this process as fast as possible to get you on your way, it's going to put them more at ease. And when I tell these business managers, when you're first going out to talk to that customer, one of the big things that these business managers do is they tell the customer, oh yeah, I'm here to take care of all your paperwork, blah, 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 whatever it might be. What I tell them is, hey, let's get them excited. We want to know what they're excited about that car, because that car that they're buying, that you can see it, you can touch it and feel it. It's that hunk of metal that's in the road that you can see, touch, and feel it. Customers can put emotion onto something they can see, touch, and feel. But when we go into the business office, what are we selling? We're not selling tangible products. We're selling air. We're selling fairy dust, unicorn farts. We're selling peace of mind. So it's hard for us to create value in products. And if we know, okay, what does that customer love about the car? Then I can take, hey, what do you love about that car? Hey, congratulations, Mr. Customer. Hey, I see that you're buying this brand new 2024 Hellcat. Sweet ride. What do you love about that car? When that business manager asks that person, hey, what do you love about that car? Something they can see, touch, and feel. Now I can take that and tie that to all of my F&I products. That's where the difference is. When they're finding, that's so many times business managers forget to do that. They forget that. They just think that their process, I'm here to sign all the paperwork. At the end of the day, our square footage is the most profitable square footage in the dealership. And it makes it a lot easier and faster when you know why that customer is buying that particular car, truck, SUV, so you can tie it to those F&I products.
Okay, what I love about this is, so my most recent car buying journey, wasn't even a journey actually. I wouldn't even call it a process, because I walked into the dealership and I'm like, I just bought a car from you 28 days ago and I'm here for the next one. I need to be out of here in 3 hours or less. Can you make it happen? And to your point, they remembered that through the whole process. Then they found out, well, wait a minute, what's happening here? Why are you buying another vehicle? And I said, because my accountant told me to. That signaled, to your point, they found something that interested them. And it was, oh, he's a business owner.
Exactly.
The car might not even excite this guy. What excites him is depreciating that vehicle on his tax return.
Exactly.
And so
protecting your budget.
Yes. And when it came to the finance experience, it was like, hey, Mr. Cirillo, already got your numbers from the last one. We have all of that already taken care of. You don't have to do any of that again. And congratulations on like running a successful business. That's super exciting. Like they were saying, they were valid. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Cool. And then when it came to the numbers and promoting the products, they were like, well, listen, I mean, since this is a write-off, you should probably protect it anyways. And I was like, go ahead. But to your point, the underscore for me there is they were paying attention to what actually excited me. And I'm at the point now where what excites me isn't necessarily even the vehicle. It's what I can use the vehicle for.
Same. Me too. Right? And so many times we as business managers, we think about what is exciting to us about that vehicle. And then we might go down the path when pitching a menu about why we like the products. Customer doesn't care. Customer doesn't care. So one of the phrases I like to tell these business managers too is being in the F&I office, be very careful about how much you're talking, because you ever heard that phrase, like he who hears himself talk, or people like you more the more that they hear themselves talk. So the
Right.
more they hear themselves talk, the more they like you. So you might say two things to a person in 30 minutes, and then you walk out and they're like, man, I like that Cirillo guy.
How to win
Because you
friends,
let
man.
them
Right
talk.
there.
Exactly. You let them talk. In the business office is the same thing. We can ask pointed questions to be able to find their emotion, what they like about the car, to be able to tailor it to those products. And with that being said, it's also for these new business managers, sticking to a process is going to be their number one thing. Because that process and being disciplined to follow a process, that's going to help you get over a lot of different hurdles. If you're following a process with the way that you sign your paperwork, with the questions that you're going to ask, because a good process will help outrun a lot of objections that we see when we get to that menu presentation. So if you're getting a lot of objections, you might look at your process. Let's say we're getting an objection. Oh, you know what? Let's say we're pitching a service contract to a customer, and we keep getting the objection of, oh, I'm not going to keep my car very long. I'm not going to keep my car long enough. Well, then what I can do in that situation is, okay, where in my process can I ask a question to be able to outrun that objection before we get there? For example, on trade odometer, when we're going over their trade paperwork, we see how many miles they're driving a year. We see how long they've kept their previous vehicle. So in those situations, as a business manager, we can ask, okay, hey, Cirillo, here's your trade paperwork. I show that you're trading in a 2014 Nissan Altima. Okay, it looks like you're driving about 18,000 miles a year. Is that going to remain the same? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Okay, do you plan on being here in a few years to get another one from us? If we're asking those types of questions, it helps us to eliminate a lot of the objections that we will see when we get to a menu. So as a new business manager, when you're sticking to a process and you're disciplined to follow that process, your job is going to get a lot easier.
Why, from your observation, why do people deviate from the process?
In my experience, what I find is a lot of times we want to take shortcuts. We do want to take shortcuts. Oh, this last customer, I heard that objection, and maybe they're going to have the same objection, so we automatically assume things. So being lazy, and then assumptions, assuming things in an F&I office is a big no-no. So by following that process and sticking to that, it doesn't matter if that customer has all the money in the world or they're on a tight budget, or they're buying the car for the tax write-off, or they're buying it for their 16-year-old kid. So when we find out all that information with a good process, it'll help to uncover all that stuff before you even get there.
Bro, I was raised by European immigrants. My 16-year-old ain't getting a car. You want a car? I'll buy you a goat. Ride it to school and learn how to take care of it.
Yeah,
that's interesting. When you put it in context, I love going kind of outlandish in my thought process here, but like based on what you're saying, there's a difference between doing the job right and looking for shortcuts. And one of my mentors years ago taught me that shortcuts almost always lead to long cuts. Like it always causes a problem somewhere down the road. And I wrote the word pilot down because could you imagine with all of the thousands of flights that pilots command, if they got lazy and started looking for shortcut? Like, can you imagine if you knew your pilot like took shortcuts on the pre-flight, checking the boxes and checking the things? We would be probably pretty concerned. And I think sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, I'm just in a car dealership. This isn't going to be the end of the world. Not realizing when you look at your Google reviews that in many instances, it felt like the end of the world for the customer when something didn't pan out properly. And that comes back to you, the pilot, who should have followed a process that, yes, you followed a million times before, but there's a surety to what you're saying, that if you follow the process, regardless of circumstances, that adds an efficacy to the whole thing that's going to feed lifetime value. It's going to feed positive reviews. It's going to feed, affinity and referrals and all of the spill off that we all covet, but not realizing that something as simple as a shortcut or deviating from the process or being lazy was the catalyst for why it all fell apart.
Exactly. And where I see that the most in the business office and the finance office is with business managers who take shortcuts on presenting the manufacturer's warranty overview. Going over the limited warranty overview. Hey, Mr. Customer, these are the things that you automatically get from the manufacturer. And these are also the things that you will be responsible for when they happen. The business managers who are going over and giving a great warranty overview presentation, that's eliminating a lot of those objections. It's also with the customers that are getting that good warranty overview presentation, we see a lot less problems in service down the road. Because, like, for example, out in Lubbock, Texas. I was out at a dealership in Lubbock, Texas. A customer had come in there. She had bought a Ford Explorer. It was about a year and a half old. Had 30,000 miles or 40,000 miles on it. Year and a half old. Bluetooth wasn't working in it. Irate at the service desk or at the service advisor. Hey, I need this Bluetooth fixed, and my car's only a year and a half old. Service advisor say, yeah, I understand it's a year and a half old, but it has 40,000 miles on it. It's outside of that factory warranty. Okay, but yeah, it's only a year and a half old. Here's the thing, as a business manager in the finance office, that's our job. Our job is to go over how that customer is going to be using that car based on their driving habits. That's what a great warranty overview presentation does. So as business managers following a process and installing that warranty overview. So that warranty overview you talked about a little bit earlier, advertising, marketing. That's our advertising and marketing in the finance office, in the business office. When you're doing a great warranty overview presentation, hey, this is how you're going to be, your factory warranty is affected by your driving habits. That helps create the value for our products in the business office. That's all of our marketing. That's all of it. And in that, we're not going over the products. We're just showing them what they are getting from the factory. So that later when we go through the menu, all that value is built up. Down the road in the service department, we're not going to get that customer that's saying, oh yeah, I have 40,000 miles. I only have a year and a half on this car. It helps eliminate a lot of that and creates a better customer experience for your customers and for the dealership as well.
I love this. Listen, you're tuning in, you're watching this, you're listening, you're getting some nuggets. If you want the key takeaways from this episode and some of the things that have stood out to me, you need to go to thedealerplaybook.com, sign up for our newsletter where you're going to get all of the goods. Dave, man, this has been such an enjoyable conversation. How can those listening or watching get in touch with you and connect?
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Dave Perriton, on there. As you business managers, I know a lot of you out there are just new into the finance office. Or there's a lot of great tools out there that you guys can use. Like, for example, on Facebook, there's a bunch of different F&I related pages that you can go on and get more information. One, ethical F&I managers. There's the F&I Nation as well. So I'm active on those where it's good for business managers to go in there and ask questions of other. Hey, I got this objection. Hey, I had this customer that had this. Those are good ways. I'm active in those communities as well. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn. I'm at RoadVantage.com as well. You can find me there.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you joining me on the Dealer Playbook podcast.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Dealer Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed tuning in, please subscribe, share, and hit that like button. You can also join us and the DPB community on social media. Check back next week for a new Dealer Playbook episode. Thanks so much for joining.